everyone. Here's a video on how to solve quadratics by factoring. These examples that I'm using are out of the book starting on page 334, so if you want to go back and read those yourself as well, you are more than welcome to do that. But I'm going to start with example 2 on page 334, and it says to find the zeros of each function by factoring. So if I have f of x equals x squared minus 8x plus 12, the first thing I want to do is set that equation equal to 0. So I will have x squared minus 8x plus 12 equals 0. Now I want to factor this left-hand side. So if I factor that, I'll have to think what multiplies to positive 12 but adds to negative 8. Well, that's negative 2 and negative 6. Now that I've factored these, I'm going to set each of them equal to 0. The reason being is because to have a product of 0, at least one of these things would have to be 0, because the only way to get 0 is 0 times another number. So at least one must be 0. So we have x minus 2 equals 0, or x minus 6 equals 0. Oh, whoops. Okay, equals 0. Okay, and now I just solve each of them for x. So here I'll get x equals 2 or x equals 6. Now let's look at example B. G of x equals 3x squared plus 12x. So I'll follow the same process as before. So first I need to set it equal to 0. So I have 3x squared plus 12x equals 0. Now here to factor this, remember always check first to see if there's a greatest common factor. I can factor out a 3x from each of these. So I'll get 3x times x plus 4. And again, since this is equal to 0, at least one of these factors must be equal to 0. So I have 3x equals 0, and I have x plus 4 equals 0. And then I just solve for x. So here I divide both sides by 3. I get x equals 0, or, and here I'll subtract 4 from both sides, x equals negative 4. Okay, now let's take a look at example 4 on page 336. Again, we are going to find the roots of each equation by factoring. So we have 9x squared equals 1. First thing we can do is put it into standard form. So we have 9x squared minus 1 equals 0. And then you'll notice that this is a difference of two perfect squares. So I can factor this. The square root of 9x squared is 3x. The square root of 1 is 1. And then I just need different signs. Now I can set each of my factors equal to 0. And solve for x. So here I'll get 3x equals negative 1, x equals negative 1/3, or here I'll get 3x equals positive 1, or x equals 1/3. Here's example B. 40x equals 8x squared plus 50. So again, start out by putting it into standard form. So we'll get 8x squared minus 40x plus 50 equals 0. Always check before factoring if you can take out a greatest common factor. Here we have a greatest common factor of 2. So if I take out a 2, I'll get 4x squared minus 20x plus 25 equals 0. And right now I can go ahead and divide both sides by 2 to get rid of that 2 in the front. So I'll get 4x squared minus 20x plus 25 equals 0. And now you can choose a method to factor this. Remember, we learned how to group by, let's try that again. We learned how to factor by grouping, the box method, or the slip and slide. And my favorite is the slip and slide. So I'm going to take this 4, I'm going to slip it over here and multiply it times 25, and I get 100. So now I get x squared minus 20x plus 100 equals 0. Factor this like normal, so what factors of positive 100 add to negative 20? How about negative 10 and negative 10? That multiplies to positive 100 but adds to negative 20. So now I've done the slip, I need to do the slide, the 4 back in here. So we'll get x minus 10 over 4 is 5 halves. Same thing here. And then we could set each of these things equal to 0. Either way, we'll get x equals 5 halves. Okay, now these are kind of fun. We're going to use the zeros to write the function. So we're going to go backwards from what we were doing just a moment ago. So here it gives us the zeros 2 and negative 1. So that means our solutions are x equals 2 and x equals negative 1. Okay, so first let's make these things equal to 0. So I'm going to get x minus 2 equals 0 and x plus 1 equals 0. I have two factors that are equal to 0. So now I can put these things as factors. Can FOIL this out, you'll get x squared. So plus 1x minus 2x is negative x, negative 1x, minus 2 equals 0. Therefore my function is x squared minus x minus 2. Okay, let's look at a couple more of examples just like that. So here we have the zeros 2/3 and negative 2. So again, I'm going to make these equal to x. So x equals 2/3, x equals negative 2. Going to make these equal to 0 for both of them. So x minus 2/3 equals 0, and x plus 2 equals 0. Going to turn these into factors. So I have x minus 2/3 times x plus 2 equals 0. Now I'm going to get rid of this fraction so that way it's a little bit easier to multiply. So to get rid of this fraction I would need to multiply it by 3. So this in the first parentheses I'm going to multiply both by 3. So I'll get 3 times x minus 2/3 times 3 is 2. Now that's a little bit easier to multiply out. You don't have to worry about the fractions. So you just FOIL. And you'll get 3x squared plus 6x minus 2x is a positive 4x, and then negative 2 times positive 2 is a negative 4. So that function is 3x squared plus 4x minus 4. For the next one, same thing, negative 1/3 and 2/5. So I'm going to have x equals negative 1/3. And x equals to 2/5. So I'm going to get these equal to 0. So x minus 1/3 equals 0. And then x minus 2/5 equals 0. Set these as factors set these as factors in an equation. So x minus 1/3 times x minus 2/5 equals 0. And then to get rid of the fraction in this first one, I have to multiply both parts by 3. So I'll get 3x minus 1. Sorry about the bell. And then for the second one, I'm going to multiply both parts by 5. So I'll get 5x minus 2 equals 0. and then FOIL. And you will get 3x times 5x is 15x squared. Then we'll get negative 6x minus, okay, pause 1 second. Look up here at the top. I had a negative and I forgot to change that. So I don't know if you've caught that. When I move over that negative 1/3, it should be plus 1/3. So this is a plus, that's a plus. Just checking to see if you were paying attention, of course. So we get negative 6x plus positive 5x, so that's still a negative x. And then a negative 2 times a positive 1 is a negative 2 equal to 0. So f of x equals 15x squared minus x minus 2. And for this last one, I want you to do this one on your own. And make sure you have it written down in your notes. We'll go over it in class together. So I will see you later. Hope you are having a good day, and see you next time. Bye.